Greetings and much blessings. Shalom, shalom. Let's talk about your native tribe of choice. What I mean by that is, of course, for those who do have native ancestry, or what some in the past have coined as First Nations ancestry, that has become very hard to prove and provide. Even if you do genealogy, I still recommend you do genealogy, but not from the standpoint of them doing a swap of your mouth and they tell you what your DNA is. No, I mean, literally go into the archives, go to the museums. If you have an ancestor that was a military veteran, that helps a lot too. So go to a lot of these barracks that are across the United States. Some of y'all might have some relatives out of Canada. Get a passport, go up to Canada, find out about your genealogy from there. Just try to get your genealogy together. And that's really for just, I guess, for your edification or for your children, if you so happen to have children or you're planning on having children. Okay. But let's say that never happens in regards to your genealogy and things like that. Well, especially for those who have been labeled as Black or African American. If you don't know of your African tribe, you're not African American. Every African that I've talked to knows about their African tribe. And they don't even like to say the word African. That's a term that was put upon them. Quote unquote Africans don't even say African. They don't really say that when you're over there. And Africa is not a country, it is a continent. A lot of people forget that. So here's the deal. In this day and age where it is a little tough to prove your genealogy and your ancestry, but you still feel like you got a connection. You still feel like you look like the so-called Native Americans, things like that. You still feel this connection. There's this cerebral type of a connection that you feel with the ground and the earth and the surroundings around you. You may have grew up around certain so-called Native American tribes, and they've accepted you. You've become a part of them. You have some of them as friends. You've married into some of these tribes. I'd say just keep going in that direction. So that to me brings back this idea of your native tribe of choice versus the one that you had to prove that you had a lineage to, per se. As one of the great chiefs said back in the day, I forget his name, but he said, it's not about your bloodline. It's about your heart. And that's what we're going to stick with going forward from this point on. It's not about your bloodline. It's about your heart in regards to the tribe of choice. Now, one could deviate from that in regards to all things Hebrew, in regards to the bloodline and the heritage and things like that. But that's for a different topic. We're not talking about that right now. We're just talking about in regards to the tribe of choice, because this does tie in once again and paradoxically Hebrews. And what a lot of them are doing right now is, yes, you're learning about your Hebrew heritage. That's cool. So now you want to live set apart. So you set up some community or camp in the middle of nowhere. Cool, but if it were me, I wouldn't do that. I'd go where there is a reservation and I'd set up camp amongst them, teach them about the truth of the scriptures and tell them how they are connected to all of this. And that we all have a common ancestor, that we are part of the tribe of Gad on this North American continent. This is what needs to be more implemented. This goes back to the tribe of choice, because you may have reservations out here who would like more people affiliated with them, who would like more people to help them to grow more crops and livestock on their land, and that they can truly remain sovereign and not feel the need for government support all the time. They can continue to build and reinforce themselves and truly be that sovereign nation. Not just amongst this thing called the United States of America, but amongst the UN, all of this sovereignty. But even if it wasn't for that, You just still have a divine right to live the way that you live. And so being in this tribe of choice, this gives you that freedom to know that you have people who accept you and that y'all do potlatches together and things like that. And I strongly recommend that you learn the language. You take heed to the Hebrew words and the Hebrew languages, but still also study that original language that these native people had. All that was stripped because all these languages also go back to Hebrew. So yes, even learn the Seneca, the Kayanagwa, all of these different names. I'm not sure if I had the second name right, but you know what I'm trying to say. Whether it is Seminole or, I can name off the different tribes, Chippewa, Ojibwa. I don't care. Just learn of all these different names. Learn of the names, learn of the languages of those names, depending on the tribe of choice that you go with, depending on what happens in your life. Because things will happen in your life where you will end up around your tribe of choice. I have a story as to how my tribe of choice became Lakota. I may talk about it sometime down the road. I'm strongly also connected to Apache. I am. I'm strongly connected to Cherokee as well. But for the past few years, it's been Lakota. Lakota has been my center circle. It's been everything that I know and everything that I am and everything that I embody in many ways. So, but I'll talk about that down the road. But yeah, for those who are learning of the Hebrew, getting out of the whole thing of Christianity and all that stuff, be considerate about your tribe of choice. Don't try to just saying that you know the Most High and now you want to set up camp in the middle of nowhere. No, just find a tribe out there, a sovereign tribe that's already established, and get around them and build up them and teach them the word, teach them the scriptures, because that can help them connect with their original culture, because their culture is also tied in with that Hebrew language. But you just have to bring it in. Tell them about where their fringes on their regalia came from. Tell them about those fringes. Okay? Just saying. Just some ideas. But yeah, think about that. The tribe of choice. This should be really kind of the mindset of someone that is from a Hebrew background. This should be your mindset going forward. The tribe of choice. Those reservations are waiting on you. Much blessings. Y'all stay blessed.